Hello, welcome to another video. As you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, today is the day that we are talking about my top 10 middle grades of 2020. I'm filming this on the 2nd of January, hoping to edit it and upload it all on the 2nd of January, so fingers crossed that's when you'll be seeing it, which means that yesterday my top 10 books of 2020 went up, and in that I explained that I wasn't going to include middle grades in it because I wanted to do a separate video of the top 10 middle grades because there are some that really deserve some love and attention, although not all of them get 5 stars because I'm quite harsh with my 5 stars. It does not mean that I do not adore them, it's just that the core pile system makes it quite difficult to get 5 stars. Although 5 of these did, so it's 5 5 stars and 5 4 stars, which means that in yesterday's video I got my calculations a little bit wrong. But yeah, 5 5-star reads here, 5 4-star reads, but I do love all of these and very much recommend all of them. It's not a secret that I'm a massive fan of middle grade. In 2020 I did put up a video of my top 10 middle grades, not of a time period, just at that point they were my top 10 middle grades I'd ever read. That video is probably a little bit outdated now, but this is just my top 10 of this year, so just to clear up any confusion that maybe had between those two videos. Although that one might be a bit out of date, this one is just for the middle grades I've read in 2020. I'm excited to get through these, so I guess we should just get on with it. Let's kick it off! Coming in at spot number 10 on my list is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. This book is gorgeous. Not just gorgeous physically, but the writing and the story is beautiful and I adore it with my whole heart. It was such a brilliant reading experience. This book made me cry, not for any specific reason, like it's not like something happened and then I bawled. It was just the process of reading it. Like whilst I was in the middle of reading it, my eyes were just streaming. I was just crying because it was so beautifully done, such a brilliant story, such a beautiful story, and I loved it. This story follows a young girl who was accidentally given moonlight instead of starlight. So the story centres around an area called the Protectorate, and every year they sacrifice the youngest baby of this particular date, so whichever baby is the youngest in the Protectorate at that set date, they sacrifice it to the witch for their safety. But the witch is a little bit confused by this and she doesn't understand why they keep abandoning babies, so she takes them in. She feeds them starlight and she gives them on to families that will love and care for them. However, this one particular child, she accidentally feeds moonlight, which is infused with magic, which means that the witch has to raise this child as her own. I adored this. It was a beautiful story. I loved the witch, Zan, and the little girl, Luna. It's just brilliant. And there's a little dragon. There is a little dragon in here. And the bog. Oh, brilliant. I love it so much. Such a wholesome, heartwarming story that also just made me sob. So yeah, this one did get 4 stars, but I adore it massively. Couldn't tell you why, but you know, core pile is a funny thing to get 5 stars on, but adored this. Coming in at number 9, we have Gargantus by Thomas Taylor. This is the sequel to Malamander, and I think this is one of those rare occasions where the sequel is better than the first one. I loved this so much. The first one, Malamander, follows Herbert Lemon, who works in the Grand Nautilus's hotel's Lost and Found. It is his job to deliver lost things back where they came from, and a young girl called Violet Palmer shows up at his Lost and Found because she is lost and she would like to be found. It is set in this incredibly atmospheric seaside town called Erie-on-Sea, and the eeriness of it comes through brilliantly. The atmosphere of the setting is so fantastically executed. I adore that. And in the first one, it is like, has the Malamander returned, which is this like mystical creature that lives in like the sea mist, and what that could mean. And in this one, it's the story of if the Gargantus has awoken or returned. Yeah, has the mighty Gargantus returned. So again, a mystical creature that people are not entirely sure if it's real or of its origins, but is it causing some sort of conundrum? Is there a disaster afoot? But again, I absolutely loved this. This was action-packed. This was a very quick read as well, and I look forward to anything else that comes from the Legends of Orion series. I don't know if there is gonna be more, but yeah, atmosphere is so brilliantly done. Such a great story with brilliant characters. Yeah, that one comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8, we have Potkin and Stubbs by Sophie Green, particularly Ghostcatcher, which is the 3rd and final book in that series. The conclusion to this was so bittersweet. It was heartwarming and heartbreaking all rolled up into one, and I adore it. It's no secret that Potkin and Stubbs is a series that I've been pushing since I found out about it, since I started reading it. I love it so much. It's like a detective noir inspired story of a young girl called Lil Potkin who wants to be a big time reporter. She is looking for her next scoop, but little does she know it could be sitting opposite her at the all-night bus station, which is where she meets Nedley Stubbs, and together they try and find out all sorts about what's going on in this very corrupt Pelican City. It's very like Gotham vibes. There's all sorts of corruption going on, and it is massively paranormal. There are ghosts and ghouls and all sorts, as you can probably tell from Ghostcatcher being the title there, and they get help from a retired, well not retired, but kind of a down on his luck detective called Abe, and I love the relationship that Lil forms with Abe, the attitude that she gives him and how she kind of like kicks him up and is like, come on, you're an adult, you can get up and put on some clean clothes and help me with this thing. I love it. I love Lil's attitude and the family that they find along the way, but also the big thing that would be a massive spoiler, so I won't say, but brilliantly done. Fantastic book. I have adored this entire series and have recommended it to so many people, and now I'm recommending it again. Sophie Green is a brilliant author. We had her on for one of our middle grade monthlies, which was brilliant. I have met her a couple of times. She is lovely, and I love this book series. Coming in at number 7, we have Wonderscape by Jennifer Bell. I have discovered this year that I quite like Jennifer Bell. Her writing is fantastic. This was brilliant. Do you like the red edges? I did that myself. This follows the story of 3 kids, Arthur, Ren and Cecily, who go to the same school, aren't necessarily friends, but somehow they get sucked into the Wonderscape, which is an in-reality adventure game. Is that how they call it? An in-reality? Like, it's an artificial reality, but in-reality adventure game that is years in the future. And they get stuck there, and they have to complete the game and find a specific person in the game in order to be able to get back to their reality. This is fast-paced, this is action-packed, this was absolutely wonderful. I adored it. It's definitely a book that, like, when I started it, I needed to keep going. The pacing was so well done, and like how action-packed it was, how they were progressing through the plot in such a way that just kept me so enthralled and I wanted to be there for the whole time. It's a book that could very easily be devoured in one sitting. It's one that you can get absolutely sucked into, just as the characters got sucked into that game. It's very Jumanji-like. I think it's advertised as like Jumanji meets Ready Player One, in that it's this like virtual reality but in reality game, but they get stuck in it and have to complete something to get let out again. Absolutely brilliant. Completely recommend. Jennifer Bell is a fantastic writer. I'm a big fan and look forward to reading more of her stuff. Coming in at spot number 6, we have Wundersmith by Jessica Townsend. Wonder followed by Wonder. This is the 2nd book in the Nevermore series, the Morrigan Crow series, Wondersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow. I loved it. I loved it so much. Nevermore, I think, is one of those middle grade series where even if you're not a fan of middle grade, you tend to love Nevermore. I completely recommend this to probably absolutely anybody. But this story follows the story of a young girl called Morrigan Crow, who is a cursed child destined to die on the eve of her 11th birthday. However, when that rolls around, she is swept off her feet by a man called Jupiter North, very eccentric, who takes her to the wondrous land of Nevermore, where she has to compete in some trials to earn her life and her place in the Wondrous Society. This is obviously book 2. I can't tell you anything about what happens in this one because major spoilers for the first one. It is magical, it is whimsical, it is so well written. For a fantasy story, it's the sort of fantasy that, like, you could see it being real. You can see Nevermore being a real place. You want to be there, you want to see what's going on. The cast of characters is absolutely fantastic. There's so many of them, and they're all so memorable in their own rights. Like, not even just the main characters, but the whole lot of them, and the like family that they build. It's just incredible. If you have not read Nevermore, I really do wonder why, because it's fantastic and I so wholeheartedly recommend. So yeah, second book in that series. Can't tell you what it's about, but I loved it so much and think you should read the whole series because they're brilliant. Coming in at number 5, we have Frostheart, Escape from Aurora by Jamie Littler. This is the second book in the Frostheart series, which has received a lot of love from a lot of people over the last year or so, mainly at Gavin's recommendation. He raves about this series and is right to do so because it is fantastic. And this one did get 5 stars from me. It's great, it's brilliant, it's fantastic. This is what I'm saying about all of these books. But this one follows the story of Ash, who in the first one, he is living in the Fira stronghold with his Yeti guardian Tobu, and in their stronghold they are forbidden from singing. Singing is a dangerous thing because of the mythical song weavers. And in this world, all of these strongholds are separated by the Snow Sea, which is full of deadly monsters called Leviathans. And the song weavers are said to be connected to the Leviathans, which is why everyone lives in terror. However, Ash has his own agenda and he wants to find his missing parents because he was abandoned in the Fira stronghold by his parents when he was a baby, hence why he's been raised by this Yeti guardian, and he desperately wants to find them. So when the crew of the Frostheart show up at his stronghold, he manages to find a way to get away with them to search for his parents. I don't want to say too much more than that because I don't want to risk spoiling anything, but this is so heartwarming. You really root for Ash and his best friend that he forms along the way, Luna. She's fantastic. Tobu as like a father figure is just so fuzzy and heartwarming, and despite the fact that he's a big scary Yeti, like, you just fall in love with him. In fact, the whole crew of the Frostheart, and again that found family vibe along the way, is brilliant. It's so heartwarming, but at the same time action-packed and a little heartbreaking. And there is a big revelation at the end of this one that has us all so excited for book 3. I can't wait to read it. Book 3 will be the final one. It is just a trilogy and I am so excited to see how this wraps up, what happens, because the end of this one was a lot. So yeah, if you haven't picked up Frostheart, I so wholeheartedly recommend that you do. It's fantastic. Coming in at number 4, we have Castle of Tangled Magic by Sophie Anderson. I love Sophie Anderson's writing. She is one of my favourite middle grade authors. For sure, I am such a massive fan. This is the 3rd book in... It's not a series, but they are all kind of companions, so I think you probably should read them as a series to get like the most enjoyment out of them. But this one follows a young girl called Olia, who lives in a castle with her family. They aren't like kings or queens, they just happen to live in this castle, and Olia's mum has just had a baby, and Olia absolutely loves her sister and wants to give her sister the best life, the best adventures, and I love that bond that she like almost immediately feels for her little sister. It is so heartwarming. I think it's beautiful. And that love is kind of what fuels her throughout this, wanting to do the best for her sister and give her sister the best life. There is a storm that is coming to the castle and there is some magic that is hidden away that she has to work out how to untangle. I don't know how much I can say about this without spoiling it, but there is some tangled magic hidden away in this castle, and Olia goes on a bit of an adventure and steps through the door into this magical world where there's all sorts. There are wizards, giants, all sorts. And again, found family along the way. That's something that Sophie Anderson does so well, is like finding your people and discovering who you are and where you belong through the journey, which has been present in her other books as well and is definitely present in this one, and it's just so beautifully done. And something that I'm a massive fan of Sophie Anderson for is the way that she weaves in the Slavic folklore and fairy tales into her story, because it is so beautifully done, and Sophie Anderson has inspired me to read originals of like Russian Slavic fairy tales. I am excited to do that because her books have really inspired that in me. The way it's all woven together is phenomenal, and I think Sophie Anderson is a top tier writer, and this is my favourite of her books so far, and I have loved all of them. So absolutely 5 stars. If you have not read anything from Sophie Anderson, you absolutely should, and I do recommend starting with The House with Chicken Legs, going on to The Girl Who Speaks Bear, and then this one, because I think that's how you get the most out of the story, because things make appearances and stuff, but they're not direct sequels. And the thing in this that like ties this one to the other ones is gorgeous. Absolutely loved it. 5 stars to this. I love it very much. Coming in at spot number 3 is Bright Storm by Vashti Hardy. Vashti Hardy has solidified herself as like an auto by middle grade author for me, because this and its sequel Dark Whispers were absolutely fantastic. 5 stars. Adore them. These stories follow Arthur and Maudie, who are twins. Their father went on an expedition to the most southern point in South Polaris, and then the twins are devastated with the news that their father has passed away on this expedition. However, the facts that they are given don't quite add up. They don't quite believe everything that they've been told, so they find a way to get on a journey to South Polaris themselves to find out the truth. This gives me all the polar fantasy vibes that I love, all the middle grade vibes that I love. The brother-sister bond is beautiful, and again, there is a sense of found family with the people they meet along the way, and it is just beautiful. The sense of adventure in this, and also the like steampunky vibes that we get from it as well, just merge together so well with the polar fantasy, which obviously just gives the atmosphere that I love anyway, because polar fantasy is a genre that I adore. That's not a secret. Have you heard of Polarthon? So this just merges so many things that I love into one book, and was so well written, and the adventure was so great. The pacing, like, you want to be there for the whole thing. It just keeps going, and the revelations they make along the way, I love this book so much, and I don't think I push it enough, quite honestly, because it is one of my new all-time favourite middle grades. Absolutely adore it. 5 out of 5. Need to push it more because it's fantastic. If you want a recommendation for Polarthon, here is a big one. Coming in at number 2, this one probably is no surprise if you've heard of Middle Grade Monthly and seen our like wrap-up video for Middle Grade Monthly. Orion Lost by Alistair Chisholm. This was phenomenal. This is a sci-fi middle grade about a young girl called Beth who is on a ship to a distant world. I think they're trying to get to like another habitable planet, but along the way the ship is damaged and all of the adults on the ship go into a sleep and cannot be woken, and only the children can wake up and have to pilot this ship to safety. However, there is an artificial intelligence on board this ship that Beth does not know if she can trust, and the crew that she is manning the ship with, there are tensions there, and it's not an easy task for a 13-year-old girl to pilot a ship to safety. There is so much in this book and I absolutely love it. I've fallen in love with this story and Alistair Chisholm's writing. It was so action-packed, so tense. Like, I was on the edge of my seat. My intrigue was at an all-time high. My anticipation for what was going to come next was at an all-time high. This was phenomenal. If you're a fan of sci-fi but not middle grade, I think you'd love this. If you're a fan of middle grade but not sci-fi, I still think you would love this. And if you're a fan of middle grade and a fan of sci-fi, you absolutely cannot miss reading Orion Lost. It is spectacular, absolutely incredible, blew my mind. I am a massive fan of this book and cannot wait to read anything else that I can get my hands on from Alistair Chisholm, because this was incredible. And coming in at top spot for my favourite middle grade of 2020 is Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I've already spoken about Nevermore because Wundersmith made an appearance in this, which was book 2. This is book 3, so again, I will not tell you what this book is about. It's the continuation of Morrigan Crow's story in Nevermore, experiencing more of Nevermore and this wondrous land and what's at play there. But yeah, I cannot tell you any more than that. I can tell you how beautiful this edition is though, because this is the hardcover. My Nevermore series I have nicknamed the Never Match series because my books don't match. My copy of Nevermore is a weird size, my copy of Wondersmith is a standard paperback, and then I got the hardback of Hollowpox because I couldn't wait for this to come out in paperback. I needed to consume this immediately, and I'm so glad that I did because it's the best one yet. My favourite in the Nevermore series, absolutely, but all of them are just incredible. So again, I'm going to push that if you have not read the Nevermore series, the Morrigan Crow series by Jessica Townsend, you absolutely should, because it's a middle grade series that fans of not middle grade can enjoy, fans of middle grade can enjoy, everyone can enjoy. There is something in here for everyone and I absolutely love it. But I can't tell you what this is about because this is book 3 in the series and I don't want to spoil anything, so I will leave it at that. There you have it. There are my top 10 middle grades of 2020. I hope you have enjoyed going through that list with me. If you have, give us a thumbs up. Chat to me down below, let me know if you've read any of the books on this list and what you think of them. I would love to know. For the emoji of the video, in honour of Hollowpox, let's have something either green or orange as the emoji of the video. But yeah, chat to me down below, let me know what you thought of these books if you've read them. Let me know what your favourite middle grade of the year was. I would also love to know that. But yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out with me for a bit, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!